Tonight, we are going to explore together how you can use Toastmasters to make the most of this journey that is your life. And to do that, we're going to look more concisely at three different aspects of life. How can you use Toastmasters to develop your vision of what you want your life to be like? How can you use it to overcome anxiety? And how can you then put that together and become a person who makes a positive impact in this world, in your own life and in the lives of those around you? But before we do that, two things I want to get ready. One is your expectations. I'm not going to be talking about how you're going to overcome anxiety per se, but I'm going to be talking about how you can use Toastmasters, the opportunity you have in here to do just that. So it's not going to be that theoretical, it's more going to be about examples. Secondly, you should all have in front of you two sheets of paper that look vaguely like this. And very soon all of you will actually do. All right. Please use these during the training, because if you do, you'll take home more from it. And I'll quickly walk you through them. The first one, you have a table where you can scribble down any actions that you want to do, action points. So if there's anything happening during the training, you think, hey, that's something I want to look into more. That's something I want to do when I get home. Just write it down in there, and later on you can decide for yourself when you want to go and do that. And on the bottom part of the page, you can just write down notes, anything you find interesting. The second page looks like this. And that's for some writing exercises that we're going to do as part of the training. And I'll tell you more about those as we get there. All right, ready for the race? Let's talk about how you develop your vision using Toastmasters. But first of all, why do you even need a vision? I mean, the sloth in here seems to think he doesn't need one, and he's right. He's practically blind. I don't know why he's even got eyes. And he still gets to life just fine. So I'm curious, what do you think? Do you actually need a vision to live a good life? Who thinks you need to have a clear vision of what you want to achieve? Most of us seem to do. Darius, why do you think you need that?
I think if you have a vision, you can define the purpose you want to achieve and actually plan how you want to achieve that.
Okay, so you need that purpose, that vision to find the steps that you need to take.
Right.
Gabriela, what about you?
Because you don't know why you're doing what you're doing. So.
Exactly. If you don't have a vision, then you don't know what you should do and why you should do it. All right. Well, Epictetus, an old philosopher, have you heard about him?
Yes.
I see lots of head nodding, that makes me very happy. He has something to say on this matter as well. William, could you read that for us, please?
First say to yourself, well, let me start over. Let me try again.
Let's do that again.
Okay. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do.
So he seems to agree with most of the people in this room. First, you need to have a vision of what you want to become. Describe that to yourself. And then you can do what you have to do to make that vision a reality. Now, how many of you actually feel that you have a very clearly defined vision of what you want to do with this life? All right, we've got some work to do. Great, I'm not here for nothing, I'm happy. Good, so one thing you can do then, if you're not quite sure just yet, the best thing you can do is to explore. To explore new ideas, to try out things. And the first place that you can try out things is in your mind. And then you can do sort of a filter and also try them out in real life if you think that's still a good idea. And within our club, I've been doing this in two ways. One of them is during table topics. You'll get, for the new guest, you will get to see what table topics means a bit later. It's basically where we do these improvised speeches. And this is where you can go wild with your imagination. You don't have to limit yourself to what you've really done or what you really think. You can explore different ideas, different positions, maybe sometimes the exact opposite of what you believe in. And by doing that, you can dream of bigger things, or you can paint that future for yourself. So use table topics for that. But not just table topics. Prepared speeches are a great way to really work a bit deeper with ideas that you care about. I've done this a lot. For example, one of my first speeches in Toastmasters, we're talking about 5 years ago now, was about plastic waste. Because I was interested maybe in doing something with a recycling business, something along those lines. So I used one of my projects to research more about what this actually means. How big is this problem? What solutions are there? Then, as I got into regenerative agriculture, I did a speech about how I'm going to become a farmer. I think some of you will still remember that.
Boy.
A boy, exactly. And I did a speech about how you can grow food in your house, whether it's an apartment or you have a garden. So I played with different aspects of that through different speeches. More recently, I dedicated a few speeches to my vision of how I want to be as a parent, to be a patient parent. And I did my first speech, and then I got feedback. And it was especially Andrea's feedback that got me thinking. Because she came to me and said, it's all nice what you said, but what does it really mean to you? What does it specifically mean to you to be a patient parent? And so I went back and I did my homework. And I wrote down in smart methodology what it means to be a patient parent. And as I did that, it all became a little clearer to me, and I got several actionable points out of that, of what I actually can do and have done in the meantime to become better at reaching that vision. So it's that creative process of writing those speeches, really working with that idea that gives you that insight, that clarifies that vision. Now, I feel like I've talked enough already, so I'm going to give the stage to you in the sense that I'm inviting you to think about what you would like to explore. Is there a topic that you're curious about? Is there something in your life you feel you should be doing more of, but for some reason you don't? Take a few minutes. Andrea, please give us 3 minutes for this. To write on this first section of your page some ideas that you would like to explore more, to develop your vision of who you would like to be. How was that? Easy to do? Did you have a lot of inspiration? No?
I'm so focused on one thing in my life right now that I couldn't think of anything else.
Okay. Maybe that's a very important thing then. Good. Now, as Epictetus said, vision is important, but there's a second part to that statement, right? You also have to do what you have to do to then make that vision a reality. And in order to do that, you often have to overcome a very common obstacle. And that is anxiety, fear. Who's afraid of speaking in public in this room? Okay, good. So for the rest of you, I can call you up right now and do the rest of the training. All right. One great way of overcoming anxiety, and when I say overcoming, there's two ways to that really. One is to bring the fear down, to feel less fear. But in some circumstances, you're probably still going to feel that. So the other side of that is to bring your courage up. Because courage is not the absence of fear. Courage means doing the right thing, even if you're afraid. So on the one hand, you want to have less fear, and on the other hand, you want to have more courage. And the good thing to do there is to do that step by step. If you throw yourself in at the deep end, you might well drown, or nearly drown, and say, okay, never again. I'm not trying this again. So you want to build that up, have it be challenging, and then have it be increasingly challenging. And in our club, you can do just that, in and beyond our club, actually. Because you can start with meeting rules. Just a small introduction at the beginning, a quick report at the end. It's not that scary, is it? You can do that. And then you do that a few times, and it gets more comfortable. You can start doing a prepared speech. As you can see, I love doing trainings. But you can do a prepared speech that's about something personal. You can do a prepared speech about your vision. You can do this as a next level, basically, a longer speech. More difficult, but then, at some point you get comfortable with that. You want to take it to a next level, and one way to do that is to participate in contests. Contest is something we do twice a year, starting here at the club, where you compete against each other. And that element of competition, at least for some of us, already makes it more exciting, brings up that level. But if you do really well at the club level, you get moved to the area level, where you're competing against people from other clubs. And suddenly you're speaking in front of maybe 30, 40, 50 people, most of them you've never seen before. If you do well enough there, you get to the next level, division level, with clubs from all over the country and Moldova. And suddenly you're standing there speaking in a competition in front of maybe 80 people, 100 people. Like Karina did here. And she did pretty well, but she brought home the first prize. So this is one way that you can keep increasing. No comparison, Alex. No comparison. Alex competed in the same contest. He didn't bring home the first prize. Hence the reaction. Right, so that's one way. Now another way is and the good thing here is that the next contest already starts next month. As Alex pointed out, a beautiful route to Budapest. Budapest is where an even bigger level will be with Toastmasters from many different countries all coming together. And so it starts end of March right here in the club, and then it goes through until May in Budapest. And if you haven't done so yet, members in the club, decide on at least one contest that you want to join. You don't have to be ambitious like me and do all 4 of them. You don't have to. You can. But do at least one, just for the experience. Just to see if that indeed raises the anxiety level, and if you can use the tools in your toolbox to then deal with that and still deliver a good result. Another venue where you get to speak in front of more people is bootcamp. Again, this is where people from all of the country and Moldova come together, but this time not to compete, but to learn from each other. And so there are training sessions. And in the last one, this was taken in Cluj a few weeks ago, there was a training session about doing speech evaluations. Now, I'm passionate about speech evaluations. And I actually got to present there in front of the whole group. I got to do a speech evaluation of a speaker. And because I really care about speech evaluations, and I wanted to show an example of how I think it could be done, I got pretty nervous. I didn't manage to get the fear down this time in that sense. But because I've had these tools in my toolbox, I managed to overcome that and actually deliver a very good evaluation. That the speaker came afterwards at the party to tell me that he felt it really helped him. And that's what I think speech evaluation should do. You want to help the speaker. So I was able to overcome that fear, and I was only able to do that because I've been through contests, because I've been at the club many times and practiced. Now, Toastmasters is one thing, but you can also speak outside of Toastmasters, of course. And William has a lot of experience with that, doing trainings at companies, at events. This is at a local IT company here in Brasov. And he's been doing great work there, helping other people understand the power that public speaking can bring. Now it's time for another exercise where you turn the focus on yourself. What would be a venue where you would like to speak? Who would your audience be? And what would you like to share with them? Andrea, can you give us 3 minutes for this, please?
Sure.
Thank you, Andrea. I'm curious, Victor, where would you like to speak and what would you like to share in her?
So this is not really a one-time thing, but an ongoing project I've been thinking
Okay.
about and started working on the site. But basically, I would like to speak inside a small to medium-sized group of people, all belong to the same community, in order to present ideas I've read or thought about, and in order to spark discussion and debate among those people.
Okay, ideas you've thought about?
Mostly ideas I've read about. The entire purpose would be just to create a context in which, after an idea has been presented, you offer people in a community the opportunity to debate amongst themselves or change ideas or comment on those things.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for sharing that. Andrea, where would you like to speak?
Well, I know where I want to speak, but don't know about what I want to speak.
Okay,
But I want to speak at TEDx, at corporate summits like PKT or Agile Mammoths, at ARPO, at TV. So basically, I would like bigger audiences outside the Toastmasters.
sounds great. Sounds like you have at least for that part, you have a pretty good vision then. Look forward to seeing you there. Okay, thank you for sharing that. Let's move on then to the third part, which is creating change. And from what I hear, this is actually also what you're already trying to do, right? In a community, get a discussion, go to bigger audiences, share what you've learned. Creating change can be as simple as that, sharing a valuable idea with somebody. So we're going to have a look at 3 ways that your Toastmaster journey can help you get better at creating change. Learning from others, practicing teamwork, and already starting then to practice helping others grow. And we'll start by learning from others, which is a great way to learn. And within our community here, that's mainly through 2 main channels, speeches and training sessions like the one I'm doing today. We have prepared speeches pretty much every week, sometimes 2, sometimes 3. And in these speeches, the speaker generally shares ideas that can help you. This is a recent example of Mihaela talking about procrastination. I'll do it last minute just because I can. Right? I see some smiles there. I think some people here know what procrastination looks like and how it can ruin a perfectly good vision. So I learned some very valuable insights from that speech about how procrastination actually works and what mechanisms can keep it in your life and what you can then do to overcome that. And there is a good idea in almost any speech that you can listen to. And that's certainly true for training sessions as well. You might recognize this handsome man in front here. He's in our midst right now. And he has done some great trainings last autumn about speaking in public. And also about the anxiety that we talked about just now, about how that works in the body, and some great strategies, some tools that you can use to overcome. These were the tools I was talking about earlier that helped me get through that evaluation. These are things I learned from William in this training and also before that. And so with these speeches and these training sessions, there is a lot that you can learn. But you do need to do something for that. You need to bring something to the table. Now, I was planning on a very cute dog picture here, but then Corinna, my wife, pointed out that I already had a dog picture and there might be cat people in the room. So, for the cat persons in the room, there you go. And I included a rabbit just for fun. But what do these 2 animals have in common?
They're cute.
They're cute, yes. You have to be cute in order to learn.
They're tasty.
Oh,
I've never eaten cat, so I can't comment on that. But they do have big ears. And that's the thing. You need to know how to listen. You need to learn how to listen. And one great way you can do that within the club is by taking evaluator roles, especially A-counter, grammarian, and speech evaluator. These roles force you to really pay close attention to the speaker in order to do them well. And by doing this week in and week out, you do get better at that. You learn how to focus better, which is not easy to do in this day and age where information is fast and flying all around you. And here you can practice that. Focus on someone delivering a speech for 5 minutes, 7 minutes, or if he's really ambitious, 40 minutes. That is something you can learn in here. And if you can take home those good ideas that can change the way you do things. And that in itself is already an example of learning by doing. Doing these evaluator roles, you will get better at active listening and other things. Another thing we can practice by doing is teamwork. Now that happens to a limited extent within the meeting. When you're the Toastmaster, you have to coordinate with other people beforehand to make sure everything goes well. But it happens more outside of the meeting, because we do have a board of officers, a group of 6, 7 people who make sure that all the things that need to get done, that our events are made on Facebook so that people actually know that we're here, they can find us. That people who join us actually get a mentor who can guide them. Our VPD takes care of that. That guests get information after they attend the meeting. Our VP of membership takes care of that. There's all these little things, all these cogs, all these wheels that keep the club going and keep the club growing. And by being part of that board, as I have been for the last 4.5 years, you learn how to work with different people, different styles, different characters. And that in itself is learning by doing. But what you also learn, and what I like about our club is that we're pretty high tech, is you learn to use different kinds of technology that enable working in a team. For example, our board actually uses Jira to coordinate our tasks between the team. And we use Telegram to communicate with each other on, let's say, a more daily basis, which is not that high tech, I admit. Most people use Telegram these days. But at some point, Telegram came with a new feature, topics. And we were immediately keen to try that out because we had this problem that our discussions, if you're discussing 5 different ideas all on the same thread, that's pretty hard. So we started using topics to make sure that we keep these discussions separate and it's easier to find stuff back. So being an officer has helped me stay on point with some of these technologies. Now, if you're not ready to commit to being an officer, because if you want to do it right, it does take quite some time, you can help an officer, be part of a committee. And most important committee that needs help is our PR team led by Andrea. I'm sure many of us remember the persuasive presentation that she did at the beginning of the year, which also persuaded Dragos, who's not here tonight, to become our club photographer. So we now have a club photographer, and you can see that if you go to our Facebook events from this year and you compare them to the last year's, you can see that the pictures have gotten a lot better because of this guy. So be a Dragos and join the PR team. Now, what we just saw is more things on an ongoing basis, but there's also projects in which you can practice teamwork. One of them is these contests that I mentioned earlier. Someone has to make sure they actually happen. So there's an organizer, contest chair. There's a chief judge who oversees the whole judging process and he coordinates the judging team. All of that has to happen, and that happens within the club, but as you see here, we also sometimes organize the bigger contests. There was the area contest with 5 clubs that we did last fall. And 2 gentlemen who are very nicely sitting next to each other now, excellent or not, I don't know, actually took this opportunity to do that, to get out of their comfort zone and to organize an event like that. So that's one thing you can do, but you can also organize a community event, like Andrea did. Also last year, she had this idea that she wanted to do something outside of Toastmasters. So her answer just now didn't surprise me. I know she wants to speak outside of Toastmasters for different audiences. And she picked a very interesting audience, which is kids. And they can be pretty critical. But she managed to get a team of people around this vision. And so we had 8 story readers, and we had William doing the entertainment with music between the reading sections. So in all in all, there was a 10 people team actually involved in making this event happen. And I think we all had a very enjoyable experience because of that. So this is how, some of the ways you can use your Toastmasters journey to get better at working in a team, be it on a project basis or be it on an ongoing basis. Last but not least, why do you want to do these things? To make an impact, right? To make a positive change. You can already do that while you're here. And you can do that by helping other people grow. And that's something any great leader should do, right? Help his team grow. Help his people grow. And giving thoughtful feedback is a key skill of doing that. Now, you probably recognize these pictures. We had them earlier as well on the slide that said, what did the slide say?
Take some roles, maybe.
Leading roles.
Nice guess. Another nice guess. I think you should take some more meeting roles because the message of the slide was that you need to listen to learn. In this case, another thing that evaluating roles help you do is to give thoughtful feedback. Because that's the only way that we get better. Yes, you need to practice, but then you also need to hear how you've done. And not just the good stuff, not just the compliments. That's part of feedback, that's encouragement. But you also need to hear what you can do better. And that's what I want to hear from you as well after this meeting. You get, after this presentation, you get a feedback form to give me feedback. I'm not looking for compliments. I'm looking for what could I have done better to make this presentation more interesting, more impactful. That's how we help each other grow. But do it in a nice way so I don't cry over it. That's basically thoughtful feedback. Another way that you can help someone grow is by becoming a mentor. Especially for new members who just come in the club, there's a lot of things that you need to learn in order to really start benefiting from these meetings. I'm a mentor for Darius, for example, and we're having a lot of fun at that. We meet every week to discuss after the meeting how things went, and this is one way you can help somebody grow. And Toastmasters actually offers information on how you can do that. So for new mentors, right, they also need to learn how to actually do this effectively. How do you mentor someone? What does that mean? Is it the same as a coach? No, it's not. Then what is it? What should you do? There's resources online that help you with that. If you want to take that a bit further, let's say to a community of people, you can organize as a club a speechcraft session. And that's actually what I want to do in the coming months. I want to coordinate a speechcraft program where basically we teach a group of people the basics of communication in a 6 to 8 week course. It's another way that we as Toastmasters can make an impact, help people express themselves better, help people give thoughtful feedback better by going out in the community and doing things like this. And all of this is also available within Toastmasters organizations, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can actually follow the textbooks that they've already created and use the presentations that they've already made. So, time for a final writing exercise. Which skills would you like to practice? And based on what we've discussed in this presentation, how could you do that within that club? Andrea, could you give us our regular 3 minutes for that? Thank you. All right. I feel like we've covered quite a few different ideas, so let's take a few minutes to just shortly recap what we've been talking about. First of all, we saw that we need a vision in order to know what our next steps are going to be. And that one way to get clarity on that vision is to explore different ideas whenever we get on the stage and speak. We then saw that anxiety can be a big hurdle to even getting started on those actions once we've identified them. But by working step by step in increasingly challenging settings, we can both bring down that fear and bring up that courage. Then we talked about creating change. And we saw we can get better at that by learning from others, but we need big ears and to be cute. And we can practice teamwork by actually becoming part of a team and doing things, be it on an ongoing basis or in projects. And with those projects, we can actually already start making an impact. We can already start helping others grow. We can become someone's mentor. We can give thoughtful feedback, or we can do bigger programs in the community. Now, all these opportunities are out there, but you're not going to learn anything from them if you don't do a few things yourself. And what should you do? Take initiative. Be that person who says, okay, I'll join this team. Be that person who says, yes, I'll do that speech next week. Be that person who takes that role and tries out new things and grows as a result. take initiative. But also very importantly, enjoy the journey. Because if you're not enjoying it, sooner or later you're going to stop. You're going to stop. And with that, the development stops. But if you're enjoying it, you're going to do more often. And last but not least, take that next step. Always keep taking that next step. And for that, I recommend that you take those worksheets that you had home with you. And tomorrow morning, when you're enjoying the first cup of coffee or tea, look at them, review what you wrote. And what actions do you see coming out of that? What would you like to do next? And then take that next step, and the next one, and the next one. I wish your journey to be an inspiring one and an impactful one for yourselves and for those around you. Mr. Toastmaster.